Hi everybody, I'm Stefan for a-tutsplus.com, and in today's tutorial we are going to create this element right here. And let's select our reference image and set the opacity to 25%, select our rectangle mask tool and just double click to create a shape layer and remove the fill and increase the stroke to 4, and let's call this frame and collapse the layer. And using the pen tool, let's create another line right here and set the stroke thickness to 2. And what we need to do is to create another shape layer here and just duplicate it and move it over like so. And then let's create another shape on a separate layer here, and come to the layer properties, open the modifier list and add a repeater and increase the number of copies of the repeater, and open the transform repeater and just play with the position, and I guess that 5 should do the job. We need to increase the number a bit more, 41, and just duplicate the layer and just rotate it like so and slide it to the side here. And we are ready with this. Now let's create a few more shape layers. Select the pen tool, set the stroke thickness to 1, and probably increase a bit the opacity of our reference image in order to see better what we are doing here. And create a few more lines. Create the last one. And now let's take our image that we are going to use to create this type of a cardiogram effect, and let's take it and drag it into a new composition. And as you can see, we have some lines here that we are going to use to drive our effect. So let's create a new solid and let's call it Vegas and make it black and hit OK. Come to effect, generate Vegas, and as you can see by default we have nothing, so we have to come to for the stroke mode we need to use image contours, and come to the image contours settings and set the input layer like so. And let's come to the number of segments and set this to 1, and reduce the length of the segment to something shorter. And then we need to play with the rotation. So come to the first frame, set a keyframe for the rotation and move 30 seconds forward and set the rotation to 5 full rotations. And as you can see, we have to tweak the settings a bit. First of all, we need to change the color to white. Then we need to change the end opacity to 1 and set the start opacity to 0 in order to get this type of effect, as you can see. And now we need to duplicate the layer, turn off our image and tweak the settings a bit. First of all, set the width to 6 and set the midpoint position, opacity to -1, so we get this. And we need to change the blending mode to add for the two layers, and as you can see we have this kind of a more intense beginning of the wine here. So this is it, our element, and let's take it and drag it here, and we need to scale it down obviously, and change the blending mode to add as well, and let's scale the layer down even more to like 20%, and let's make a duplicate and duplicate the layers again, offset them a bit, and take the layers, duplicate them again, and move them over like so. And if we turn off our reference image, we have this animation so far, and we need to mask out the layers. So we can select the Vegas and just pre-compose it, and just use the mask tool to mask it out simply. And let's see, we need to create a mask here, and let's set the mode to subtract for the mask, and we need to set another one here and set it to subtract as well, and another one right here and subtract it as well, and this should fix the problem. Let's turn on our reference image and take the pen tool, and let's create another shape here. Open the layer properties and add the repeater modifier, and open the transform repeater, set this to -2 or 3 maybe, and increase the number of copies to 25, and set the stroke to 2, and this to -4 maybe, and keep the copies to 10, and let's alt click and type wiggle 2,10, and this will add animation to our element, as you can see. And another thing we need to do is to create a new solid layer, make it white, and let's call it top base, and put it below everything and turn it off, and using the mask tool just draw a shape, turn it on, and set the opacity to 25%, and we need to create some more elements here. Let's create another shape layer and add the repeater once again, and this time we are going to use the repeater for something slightly different than animation, and we need to set this to 1 and set the end opacity to 0, and just increase the number of copies like so, and set the opacity, the overall opacity, to 50%. Then we need to create another solid and just draw a wine here shape or rectangle shape, and turn it on and set the opacity to 15%. Then create another solid layer and just create another shape and set the opacity to 50%, and just duplicate the layer, move the mask over, and set the opacity to 100%. And also we need to create some triangle elements, so using the polygon tool we are going to fill them with white color and increase the stroke thickness in order to make them slightly bigger. And we need to rotate this one here and just scale it down a touch, duplicate it, and let's move it here. Oops. And duplicate it once again and put it right here. And we need to scale this one up a bit and create a new solid. Take the mask tool, rectangle mask tool, draw a shape and set the opacity to 50%, duplicate the layer and move the mask over and set the opacity to 25% for this one. And we need to take the rounded rectangle tool and to create a kind of a round shape here, and let's remove the fill and we can play with the roundness of the corners right here. Set the stroke to 1, and this type of element we are going to use Arial and just type. Actually, we are going to use our digital font to create this element and size it down to 50% and create a few copies and reduce the distance between them. And we need to rotate them like so. Open them, add a opacity modifier, set the opacity to 0, open the range selector, open the advanced options and set the units to index. Come to the beginning, set a keyframe, move 10 frames forward, set the offset to 1 and repeat these steps until we create the full animation here. And after that we need to select all the keyframes and make them toggle hold keyframes and alt click, go to property and add our expression to create a whoop, and basically that's it. The rest is some type layers which are boring to create. And let's close everything and turn off the reference image, and that's it. That's our design for this panel. So hope you liked this tutorial and it was useful for you. Once again, I'm Stefan for a-tutsplus.com and we'll see you next time.